Welcome back to the Disruptor's Corner. I'm your host, Latondra Heaven. And y'all, my husband and I recently watched the movie The Ice Road, and I saw so many parallels to what I wanted to discuss today. Let me give you a heads up though. If you hate spoilers, now is the time for you to fast forward, but just do it a little bit. I don't want you to go too far ahead because I don't want you to miss the point. So, picture it. Manitoba, Canada, 2021. Yeah, I know. I sound like Sophia from the Golden Girls, but I like that show. Anyway, in this movie, a methane explosion trapped 26 miners at a diamond mine in Manitoba, Canada. And a team of ice road truckers, and this was including Liam Neeson and Lawrence Fishburne, had to deliver some wellheads and I believe like 300 feet of pipe to control further explosions and to free the miners who were running out of oxygen. They only had 30 hours to do it, and it was during the off season when ice roads are even more dangerous and unstable. But these truckers did it knowing the risks. So they took every preparation and every precaution. Mechanical checks, weight calculations, speed limits, weather navigation strategies, red flag protocols. They had their calculations down to the degree, the miles per hour, and centimeter. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they were executing very well until they weren't. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. One of their engines failed, and when this happened, it set off a cascade of tragic deaths and false accusations, deception, manipulation, relational tensions, violent attacks, and a whole lot more. Um, and I know the way I'm describing it kind of sounds like a horror movie, but I promise you it was not a horror movie. It's an action thriller, though I would imagine the characters probably did feel like they were living in horror. I won't spoil the details, but here's what I want to point out. All of this chaos resulted from corporate leaders who were supposed to be, quote unquote, helping, but they were actually working behind the scenes to intentionally sabotage this mission as a cover up for their own misdeeds. And I'll give this side note for the record. The moment these particular folks were introduced into the movie, I didn't like them. I don't care how nice, pleasant, or how concerned they seem. I just knew deep down that their characters were trash, and I called it right. Anyway, there was one line that shifted everything. Once Liam's character realized what was really going on, his words were, "This isn't about money now. This is personal." And as the threats and betrayals continued, he exclaims in true Liam Neeson fashion, "Now I'm angry, and it's personal." And the moment, if any of you know Liam Neeson, the moment those words come from any of his characters' lips, you know it's about to get real good. So what's the point of this movie review? This is a clear example, I believe, of how spiritual warfare works in your leadership and business. But most leaders tend to be blindsided by it, even though there are clues that show up. And typically they show up in two ways. The first way, everything looks fine. Productivity is high, you're hitting the goals, your systems are working, the team's getting along, the finances are solid, your family is happy. Then, out of the blue, for no logical reason, you feel this heaviness. You start feeling drained, your confidence plummets, and something feels off. You can't pinpoint it. You might feel tempted to compromise on Holy Spirit directions. You notice things you've never noticed before, or you might start hearing details in certain conversations that you once overlooked. You may even have had strange dreams if you're a dreamer like I am. And those dreams just make no earthly sense to you. So you're wondering what's going on. That's the first way. The second way that it might show up is the complete opposite. Everything tends to break all at once. If it can go wrong, it will. Relational conflicts, character assassination, all of these random obstacles, delays and cancellations that shouldn't happen, revenue goals get hit. You're troubleshooting all of the logical stuff and you tweak your business strategy, but for whatever reason, the cycle continues. Then maybe you, a family member, or one of your team members gets sick for no apparent reason. And in both cases, my question to you is this: are you paying attention? If you've been a Christian for any period of time, you know Paul's emphasis in Ephesians that believers don't struggle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. That's in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. The NLT version reads, "For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places." Now, there are three key insights that we can see from this verse. The first one is this fight is a close contact fight. It's wrestling. Some translations actually say we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. So it's a close contact fight. And if you don't engage as such, you will get overthrown, whether you like it or not. Second insight is the fight is unfair. Yeah, it's unfair because the enemy you can't see strategically uses people you can see as bait. And the third key point is there is a method to the enemy's madness. The unseen realm has a chain of command, and this is where darkness is not only planned, but it is strategically executed. You can look at verse number 11 in Ephesians 6, where Paul says that we're to put on all of God's armor so that we're able to stand firm against what? All of the strategies of the devil. That same word for strategies is actually just a method. So there is a method to this madness. So this is why I refer to strategy when I'm discussing warfare, because if you look up strategy in the English dictionary, you will find a definition similar to something like this: the science and art of military command, exercised to meet the enemy under advantageous conditions. So when Paul tells Timothy to wage a good warfare, that Greek word comes from the same root word as strategy. And if you pay attention, Paul was not writing to monks. He was writing to believers in a commerce-heavy city. These were leaders who were embedded in influence, not people who were on extended religious retreats. They were out there being lights in dark territory, and the territory was a center for trade, commerce, and idol worship. So if you're operating in business with kingdom intent, just accept the fact that you're in this fight just as much as, if not more than, the full-time pastor at the church down the street. And here's another side note. I'm talking about real kingdom intent, where your primary goal for your business is operating your business so that the gospel is on full display and others are drawn to Jesus through your leadership. If you're just out here slapping kingdom onto your business to sound special and to sound pious or whatever, while you're making money for selfish ambitions, I don't know. Well, I may do a separate episode for you because that's a different story that we need to address. But most leaders only identify warfare when things start to fall apart. But it often starts internally with disorientation, mental fatigue, or even pressure that really doesn't make sense in the moment, but ignoring the signs or mislabeling them will leave you wide open. Now, some things can be resolved by tightening up your business strategy, but others, you just won't be able to system your way out because they require a different approach. And this is when true warriors arise. Let me give you a counterintuitive tip because this is something we often fail to understand. Not every fight is won by you swinging harder. This wrestle has to be won in the spirit realm. And whatever strategies you implement must, absolutely must originate from the throne of heaven. The most skilled warriors know how to avert unnecessary battles and then to win others with the least amount of effort. And they preserve their energy for what truly matters. And believe it or not, rest is a very powerful strategy. Sometimes the most powerful move is sealing the cracks in your foundation first. This is what we call fighting the good fight of faith. So I will close this episode with this question. I want you to ponder before the Lord. What warfare clues am I overlooking in my leadership? Remember, the clues will be there often before we recognize them, but we need to stop and pay attention. What warfare clues are you overlooking in your leadership? Join us in the Facebook group to discuss this. You can search for Strategic Disruptions Kingdom Community and join. And if you need more targeted attention to navigate warfare that's coming against your leadership and your business, you might want to consider the Disruptors Council for ongoing strategy and support in the company of other high-performing leaders out to disrupt hell's agenda. In the next episode, we'll look specifically at how warfare moves through structures, relationships, and decisions, because once your eye is trained to see it, you tend to fight differently. So be sure to come back for episode number 5. Until then, bye.